Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that I get asked a lot about in my work as a psychic advisor, intuitive advisor, tarot reader, is how to read tarot. So I'm going to make a two-part video. Part one is going to be about a brief history of tarot, and part two is going to be about how to read tarot. But we can't have part two without part one. Let's get into part one now. Tarot is, if you will, a very ancient art of storytelling, and there are many interpretations of its history, yet it has few origins. Although over the years, people have revised it, popularized it, and even redone it altogether. If you go to a bookstore, you're going to find deck after deck after deck, right? How do you even choose? What are you even looking for? You really want to find a tarot author, someone who resonates with you. And what that means is you can look online and you can find who might resonate with you. Maybe it's Doreen Virtue, who does a lot of angel card readings, and her readings are the similar system. She's got the major and the minor arcana, so that part is there. And you can read with angel cards if you prefer that. Now, I like to read with light working decks or light decks. Like, for example, I'm really into, of course it's on the bottom, my favorite deck is the Moon Child Tarot. I read all the time with my clients with this. As a tarot reader, you can only imagine the beauty, the possibility, difference that's here. And so this deck resonated with me. So did their other deck that they have. These are oracle cards. These are different, so we'll talk about these later. I really enjoyed the Art Nouveau Tarot by Antonio Castelli. The art is immaculately beautiful. The cards are much smaller. They're easier to handle and shuffle, as where these decks are like larger iPhones, right? This is like 5. This is a 6S. Plus, if your hands are smaller and you like smaller decks, this is a good one. But let's get into the history, because there's a lot of difference between these two perspectives of tarot. And that's what you really want to find, is what resonates with you. I like to separate tarot into two parts. There's a proof part in the cards, right? Because what I will say is that a deck of playing cards works the same way as tarot. So there is a rhythm with the numbers, and it is sort of a system of numbering. And then when you attach images, powerful images, and powerful sequential possibilities, you get a really great and accurate reading, even with a deck of playing cards. Now I can talk about that later as we get into video 2, which is how to read tarot. This is the history so that you understand. First, you have to find a deck. Now, the Rider White deck is the most popular. I don't own one of those decks because I'm not drawn to that tarot deck, although it's one of the most popular in existence, right? I'm more drawn to these light oracle, light decks. So there's the card part, the part you can prove numerically in a system. Like, people can cheat in cards and poker, so that's like a numerical proof that it's mathematically within the realm of possibilities. And then there's the esoteric side, the deep truth, the resonating truth that this was a storytelling use of images and words and predictive nature and aspect used in ancient France, Italy, Rome, other parts of Europe. And also, again, behind that, we have the ancient Egyptian roots. And this is really where the tarot originated, is the Egyptian god Thoth. Thoth being the god of many things, including scribe or written word or written teaching. He created this pictographal way of predicting and using this system, which he had, you could say, laid out as the tarot. It was then picked up by a French occultist, and he began to put this all together, more adaptable and usable. And this was revolutionizing, because this was used for centuries by occultists all over the world. Of course, then we have Aleister Crowley, who came along and brought modern tarotism to the world. I followed some of that, Aleister Crowley, and I know his history. He is into the dark side of the tarot. Now, that's what I mean by finding someone who you resonate with. I remember his tarot cards around when I was a child, and I was drawn to them. I did use them. They were the ones around. At this stage of my life, I choose not to, because I don't align with Aleister Crowley's belief system, and that's just me. I can understand it, but I'm not aligned with that belief system, so I choose not to use that deck. Now, Aleister Crowley did modernize tarot for this century with that deck of cards, and so it has its place in modern tarot, which I will not take away from. And many of you who are occultists, who want to find different things, and may turn to Aleister Crowley right away, because he also wrote the Book of Law. This was where he himself became very interested in the the occultism and tarot, and let's face it, a lot of us are right there with him, right? This is a very brief history of tarot because it really does go from ancient Egypt to Alexander the Great. He took it to Italy, Rome, brought it into that genre. Another guy picked it up in France. He wrote a bunch of books that are really scary and valid. I think it's Antoine de Court-Giblion. This French occultist connected the tarot back to the time of the Book of Enoch, which is before the Bible. There is a timeline before the Bible. Tarot actually comes from the beginnings kind of existence. It's storytelling at its greatest. It's pictographs, just like the ancient Egyptians left for us. Pictographs to read, history to tell, story through cards. In yourself, you want to feel some connection to the cards, right? So I have the Aleister Crowley card deck here. I just keep it in a different drawer and I don't want to use it because I don't connect to those images anymore. I don't want the energy that is invoked when you use intention with focus, with reading cards and such. What there is really to do, pick a deck, really look online. There's so many decks out there, so many people coming up with new concepts around tarot that are making it a little bit more about the ascension. And this is the arena or area that I like to be in, is the arena of the ascension, because that's where the light is. And yeah, occultists. I am one, but I'm also a spiritualist, so I walk between the lines, in and out, I weave. Some of us don't want to do that. Occultists, Aleister Crowley is your guy. And then if you just want some beautiful, flavorful cards that are going to make you swoon, you might want to pick up the Starseed Tarot. This is written and illustrated by Danielle Knoll. She does the Moonchild Tarot and the Starseed Tarot. And I want to say her booklets are one of the most beautiful, most effective booklets I've ever seen regarding tarot in my life. And I've been reading for years and years and years. And really these new decks, I'm very proud of that they're coming out with these new decks. Now, the history of tarot has occult origins, and it can draw forces to you that are very powerful and very occult. As an intuitive reader or someone who wants to start getting into tarot and reading tarot, what you really want to do here is find a deck that resonates with you, that you feel that you can use to pull what you want to pull from. And if that is the occult, that's okay. If that is the light, that's okay too. There are a lot of new decks out there, I'm saying, that are available now to people who want to work solely in the light with the tarot, because that's possible. After we've talked about the history, next time we'll talk about the best part, how to read tarot. Come on, let's face it, the cards are a little difficult to interpret. They can have meanings in their own, so many hidden messages in them. So I'm going to show you some of how a tarot deck is similar to a deck of cards. And then we're going to go into the ins and outs of what the cards mean in a little bit more detail, and how to actually read a 3-5 card spread, even a full tarot spread if we have some time to get into that. Like, we'll do 3 parts. All right, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video of how to actually read tarot.